I got my bushings finally, my leaf spring bushings. I had a little bit of trouble finding them, at least factory style ones. So I ended up going with an energy suspension polyurethane one. Here's the part number. For whatever reason, these were hard to find. I ended up getting them from Summit. There was no local auto store that I could buy them from. So anyway, I have the springs done now, and I'm gonna do the spring hangers and then torque all the bolts and final assembly. Okay, so got the bushings in the springs and shackle mount. Everything's all new, everything's torqued down. Axle is officially in. I put the steering box in yesterday, which I thought was gonna take 5 minutes, but it turns out that there's supposed to be a dimple in the frame right here where this heat mark is. And so I was told, yet another difference, you know? I was told that 67s are completely flat right here, and they need these dimples so that you can mount a newer style power steering box. Well, mine had these outward dimples, but not the inward dimple. So that was easy enough. All I did was loosely bolt this thing down, and then I got that red hot, and then I just torqued the bolts down, and it just bent right exactly to where it needed to be. Another interesting fact is you can see my core support mount kind of interfered with the power steering box. And then I went and looked at one of my four-wheel drive 6772s, and it's different. It has this weird little shape right here. So those are different. That's yet another thing that is shaped differently on a four-wheel drive. So doing pretty good otherwise. Gonna get the high hump cut out. Already got some nut zerts in it. Yeah, that's gonna happen right now, and I will update you later. So it doesn't look like I did a lot today, but I crossed off a lot on the list. The high hump is in. The hole is cut. Everything's ground and beveled. Shock mounts, bump stocks, power steering box is permanently in and mounted. Steering wheel's relatively straight. All the steering's assembled. And it rolls and steers under its own power, kind of. And so now what's left is painting this, because I don't want to just throw an engine in a frame with bare metal, so I'm just going to shoot some paint on that. And then engine, transmission transfer case, get married, and get put in. All right, end of the day video. Today what I did was prepped and painted with the GM restoration paint and took out a cross member. Special guest Carl, don't touch the paint. And yeah, it looks okay. It's not perfect. I didn't prep it as nice as I probably should have, but I think it looks pretty good. Wherever you left it, buddy. Oh, it's over here. It's on the ground over here. Come get it. Roan here is obsessed with pedal pads. So we're going to talk about brake lines and putting new brake lines in a 67 through 72 pickup. So I got these from Inline Tube. And if you guys have been watching this video series, you know that this is a 67 C10 that I'm converting into a K10. And 67s, one thing to remember is they were all drum brake. And so since this has a newer style front axle with disc brake, I'm going to set this entire truck up as if it were a 1972 or 71. 71 was the first year of standard front disc brakes on trucks. So I bought a kit for a 71-2 long bed C10 from Inline Tube. It was like $150. It just comes with a bunch of bent stuff and a little bending guide right here that's basically worthless. And yeah, the one thing to remember is everywhere you see this sort of long radius bend, that's usually where you have to straighten it. Like I'm pretty sure I have to straighten that, and I have to straighten that all the way straight. But these other ones don't need anything done to them. You can tell that because there's no bends that look out of place. Like if you look at this, everything looks good until you get here and you're like, whoa, that's like a big bend. So if it looks out of place, like that one, it's out of place. It's probably out of place. When they're zip tied together, I find it easier to leave them zip tied together because when they zip tie them together at the Inline Tube factory, they're in like little families. So I'm relatively sure this is what goes to the distribution block underneath the master cylinder. And I'm relatively sure that these go for the rear axle right here. But what you have to do is just kind of start figuring it out. They're not labeled, and this is a universal guide. So a lot of people are like, what do I do? So I'll start with these two because I'm pretty sure I know where they go. So let's go put them underneath the truck and see if I'm right. So this truck, I painted the front half of it. You can kind of see, I just sort of shot some paint on it. I completely missed a spot there, look at that. And I just kind of have to just keep working my way back, but I'm probably not gonna paint the back of it anytime soon. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the brake lines. This be, it's a pretty evident bend. Like that could be it right there. So do you see how you have to kind of figure out which ones need to get bent one way? It's not exactly easy. It's not hard, but it's not easy either. I also wonder is since I'm looking at a 67 and I bought 72 stuff. All right, so I've learned a couple things about my brake line kit. One is, since I have a Dana 44 rear axle, which is rare, the kit I have is not going to quite work. I could make it work, but I don't think I'm going to even replace the lines back there. I think I'm just going to, for now, just deal with what I have. They look okay. So the entire truck will have new brake lines up to the soft line going to the rear axle, which is the easiest to change. So I can always do that down the road. I have some calipers that I got with another axle that were new, with newish looking pads. And I have a takeoff Bendix style booster and master and everything. So I can pretty easily get this thing all mocked up today, I think. So that's going to be my goal, is to get the brake lines mocked up, if not tied down. Another thing to remember is all these little T's that you get. You see these? You see how grody these are? These are going to be fine. You need to keep these. The kids don't come with them. So there's really nothing can go wrong with them. They're just a piece of brass. So, you just flush them out with solvent, Look at this one, you can't even see it. It's, wow, look at that underneath there. It's beautiful shiny brass, protected by all the grime. So I keep all these. Every time I scrap anything out, I try to snag, I just go with bolt cutters and just take everything. The other thing that you'll need is this junction. I wasn't even sure if this was it because it was so dirty, but it is. And it's just a little brass junction. Yeah, of course you can use these new, but I mean, the likelihood is what you have is going to be fine unless it's really badly corroded. Important to use a line wrench or a wrench of the proper size. The box of a normal wrench works just fine. Yeah, here we go. This will work. Basically, an entire old Chevy is 7/16, half inch, and 9/16. So, wow, look at that. So this was grody, and look at the inside of it. It's beautiful. So, after I take these apart, I always blast them out with solvent and air. There's even been times where I've sort of polished them up. Some of these can be rare, like on a Camaro, the brake hold-off. That's a little bit of a rarity, so those you want to be a little bit more ginger with. But these are just fine. These are common. These are on everything. 3/8. Chevy's awesome. They make sure that every single thing is a different goddamn size. I have to get a wrench, so I'm gonna stop the video. Okay, so I went to put this first brake line in, and it fits pretty good. Goes right where it should go, but this thread on this nut is too small, so I have to change that. The very first thing I did didn't work. So I figured out the problem. This brake line kit is for a different style distribution block. So I had to do a couple little modifications, but it's not that big of a deal. It's gonna work out, I think, pretty good anyway. So, talking about this inline tube kit earlier, I was talking about straightening out these bends. So this is supposed to be a 90 right here. So it's pretty simple to do. The way I like to do it is to just get a nice flat piece, something like a table. Table's good because you have the corner you can work with. So you can overhang it so you can go past its bend, and that looks pretty good, right? Pretty good to me. Now you go see if it fits, and then you adjust it. Okay, brake lines. Brake lines aren't really that big of a deal. I bought a pre-made kit that didn't fit at all, which is really unfortunate. I hate the way these brake lines look. it is what it is. I'm not going to remake them. Everything's going to be nice down here, but up there, this is how this is going to look right here. That's how they look on 67, 72s. But up here, this looks a little funky to me, but it will be functional, but I'm not happy. What I ended up doing was, I think I bought the kit for the wrong whatever, and it's meant for the other style of proportioning valve, which I had and could have used, but for whatever reason in my head at the moment, I was thinking it would be better to stay with this one. So wish I could go back. It would have saved myself some time. So yeah, anyway, trying to get these brake lines in and pretty much positioned where they need to go so that I can I have to go get soft lines too. Yeah, I gotta do that. Anyway, getting some progress, but not as much as I'd like. So in case you guys wondered how cheap I'm going, this is how cheap I'm going. I am reusing the line ties off of this spare frame that I have. So C10s, or two-wheel drive Chevy trucks, have this great big massive super strong cross member right here in the middle of the truck, and done a bunch of research and looked at a bunch of other frames that I have. That just doesn't exist on four-wheel drives. So it's like the engineers engineered a really strong cross member, and then when they made these trucks four-wheel drive, they were like, nope, doesn't need it. So I'm just gonna cut that out really quick. First, I don't care about it at all. I've thrown a bunch of these away. So I'm just gonna torch it, and then I'll deal with the rivets later. But I think I need to take this out before I put the engine and transmission in. So let's get another angle of it. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna torch it out. I might even leave this little top section here because I don't want to replace that rivet. I mean, I guess that's lazy, but never said I wasn't. So, really good tech tip when you're torching on a vehicle, have a bottle of water, spray bottle, in your hand so that if things get out of hand, you can put out a fire. Or like I was torching relatively near this wire over here, I just sprayed this water on it a couple times to make sure it never got too hot to damage it. Okay, so I'm just gonna let you know my plan. So I was gonna leave some of this stuff, but I'm gonna torch off these rivets now, really flush, and that's why I left this leg really long. That should give me enough leverage to where if I just torch off the bottom, one hit with the sledgehammer, and it should rip the rest of the rivet out. Same goes for the top. And then I'm just gonna leave the rivet that holds the bed mount on and put a tack weld on the bottom of it. I think that'll be fine. That'll be the quickest, easiest thing. So, I got all the brake lines in. I've got my soft lines all plumbed, ready to go. Everything looks okay. It's not perfect. And I'm about to tackle this broken off bolt right here. Now, I already have a nut sitting there, but let's see if you can see that. I am going to weld this nut onto that stud and hopefully extract that bolt, and that will allow me to tighten that and not have an exhaust leak back there. So that's what's gonna happen, hopefully, and I'll try to film it. So I forgot to turn on the camera, but I just welded that on. Something that's kind of important is to let it cool for a minute, but not too long. So if this works, oh man, it's really in there. In case you didn't know what victory looks like, this is it. So this is going to be the end of video 2. I forgot to turn on the camera when we were putting the engine and transmission in, but it's in and everything actually lined up pretty well. I like the position of it. I think it's almost exactly where it was before. So I think that'll be fine. Everything's bolted loosely, and you know, I just have to go back through. I'm a little bit worried about this power steering clearance right here. That's like no clearance at all. But that's like not much clearance. Maybe I'll loosen the bolt and see if it moves and how much I can get if maybe I get a smaller belt. There's a couple other things that happened. I sort of dropped this engine. I didn't really drop it, I sort of slid it. I'll include this in the video, but I slid it onto my rolling lifting table over there. And it sort of slid because I didn't have these extended. I just forgot, made a stupid mistake. So my toe paid the price. I have either a broken or extremely badly bruised toe. Gonna lose my fingernail, so yay. Yeah, but it's in there, and take a look, there's the flywheel, and everything looks pretty good. I also found that there's another bolt that needs to be taken out right here. It's all rounded, so I'm gonna have to do that as well. But yeah, it's coming along pretty good. I checked my drive shaft length, and yeah, it does take a stock K20 drive shaft. The only difference is I'll have to get conversion joints for the, these are 1350s, and my transmission, for whatever reason, or my transfer case, I should say, and my diff are 1330s. So a little conversion joint action and we'll be in business. I'm just hitting everything with PB Blaster like I do, so it'll be nice and loose so I can take those new joints out and replace them with new. And then after that, there's still some holes and bolts and things I need to do. I gotta put calipers on it. I'm kind of gonna get this thing to a rolling, you know, maybe drive line, everything in it. Pretty much complete truck minus the front clip, and then at that point I'm gonna see how fast I can do rockers. I've done rockers on a bunch of 67, 72s, so I think I can probably do both of them in one day while still doing a nice job. They're relatively easy and I've done it enough now. I have a spot welder and all that. I think it should be pretty good. So, all right, well, thank you for watching, and video 3 should have some rocker stuff, and maybe it'll be the final video. I'm not sure. Should be 3 to 4 parts.